Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show. Lu Yun finally ran to support Wu Jing in silence. Never go again. Wu Jingren is all gone. Without the combat effectiveness of Wu Jing, a high-level biological reconnaissance ship, their bandit suppression operation. I'm afraid I will be in dire straits. The only possibility of victory is to resist the scout ship together with Wu Jing and hold on until the others come to support. Zian was in high spirits. Fighting like crazy with that advanced biological reconnaissance ship. After being blinded, the high-level biological reconnaissance ship immediately came to its senses. He immediately became furious. Give up the pursuit of the remaining starships and let the other mechanical starships fight the Federation mechanical starships. He fought with the brilliant number with all his strength. At this moment, the shells of the main and secondary guns launched a frantic counterattack against the brilliance regardless of consumption. Zian was excited when he fought against a high-end reconnaissance ship in real life for the first time. Although I feel that this advanced reconnaissance ship is at least half the difference from the advanced reconnaissance ships of the Inhumans and Zerg in the Star Wars simulation. This is true regardless of combat effectiveness, combat awareness, and combat level. But after all, he will no longer be chased by one of his low-level reconnaissance ships like a mid-level reconnaissance ship. Alright. Zian admitted that he overestimated the willpower of this group of pirates who had never really experienced border battlefields. They just fought each other for more than 10 rounds. When the opponent realizes that for every 100 rounds it fires, only a few can hit the opponent. And when the opponent has 100 rounds of artillery shells, at least 90 of them can hit him. Scared to death. I'm still going to beat you up. Without even thinking about it, he started to run away crazily. Escape. It is the specialty of every interstellar pirate. Then, once again, an extremely strange scene occurred. A low-level reconnaissance ship was chasing and bombarding a high-level reconnaissance ship. The high-level reconnaissance ship fled in a panic, not caring about teammates or gang members. What the hell? Wu Jing was stunned. In such a tense and exciting battle, there was a moment of sluggishness, and he let out a classic Chinese quintessence. Lu Yun patted her forehead heavily. The same question lingered in her mind. What the hell is this brilliant ship? Even if it's outrageous, is this too outrageous? The battle continues. In order to prevent the fat meat from running away like this, Zian can be said to have used Star Wars skills to the extreme. One after another, the main gun shells penetrated the energy shield behind the opponent's engine with perfect accuracy while the opponent was dodging in an S shape. When the energy shield was not repaired, rounds of secondary battery shells hit the engine, causing some damage to it. The opponent's engine is the core part, the area with the highest defense. It's almost impossible to kill its engine with just a few shots, and the opponent was not waiting to be beaten. Shells were also coming towards the brilliance. Sometimes, in order to shoot accurately, Zian simply stopped hiding and used energy shield to resist. The energy shield of the brilliance is not specially equipped with an energy shield device. It is a shield formed by the energy of the engine. Defense? Not really. From the start of the battle to now, the energy shield's energy has dropped to 56%. And the recovery of energy shield is very slow. It may take 10 minutes to recover 1%. But that's enough. Finally, Zian saw an opportunity. A main gun shell pierced the gap in the energy shield that had not yet healed. While widening the gap, most of the penetration was still left. At this moment, the opponent's left engine was directly hit with flames. The 4 secondary guns and even the photon shells of the 2 anti-aircraft guns all fired simultaneously. In order to dry out this engine and talk about it. The other party also realized this and controlled the starship to maneuver wildly, but it's of no use. Accompanied by a loud bang, the engine exploded directly, and the power of the explosion caused the starship's position to shift laterally. The engine on the left just shut down. It is no longer possible to escape from Su Zian's hands. At this time, the starship had completely become a piece of meat on Su Zian's chopping board, allowing Su Zian to slaughter it. 75 evolution points. About 7 minutes later, the starship lost one engine, and its speed, dodge, and agility were reduced by almost half, providing Su Zian with better shooting conditions. No surprises. In order to prevent other parts from being damaged, Su Zian played the starship sniper mode again. 7 minutes later, with the opponent's extreme unwillingness and resentment, he finally blew up his cockpit and gained a full 75 evolution points. Previously, we killed a low-level and an intermediate biological reconnaissance ship, providing Su Zian with 15 and 37 evolution points, respectively. Plus the current 75 points of evolution. A total of 127 evolution points. He himself has 13 points left. That is to say, now Su Zian's evolution value is as high as 140 points. With so many evolution values, there's so much you can do. Of course, as the starship level increases, each evolution requires more evolution points. It can only be said that with 140 evolution points, it is a sure thing to evolve to the 3rd level, and the overall red color is excellent, and all parts below blue rare quality will evolve to at least blue rare quality. It would be a dream to have all the parts and modules of the brilliance evolved to red excellence. Because there are too many parts left. And the higher the quality, the higher the level of the parts, and the more evolution points are needed for evolution. At the beginning, it had the same evolution value of over 100, but it only evolved from a spaceship to a starship with only a few red outstanding parts. You can imagine how terrifying the evolution value required for high-quality parts is. This evolutionary value is not enough. So, Su Zian suddenly turned his head and his eyes were directed towards the first-order biological frigate that Wu Jing and Lu Yun had beaten violently, like a hungry wolf. In a 1v1 duel, Su Zian was absolutely confident that he could kill this mediocre biological frigate. Although he will also cause terrible damage, the damage rate will probably exceed 80% or even reach 90%. But it must be him who wins in the end. Not to mention that Wu Jing and Lu Yun's starships are still ahead as shields. This biological frigate. Su Zian want it. Say nothing. Driving the brilliance, he headed towards the biological frigate. But Su Zian didn't step forward immediately. Wu Jing's previous attitude towards him and his words. Su Zian remembers them all, coincidentally. Su Zian is a very vengeful person. Repaying kindness with kindness? Don't even think about it. Moving forward deliberately slowly. Just like this, he watched the Wu Jinghao, which had already suffered heavy losses, helplessly being destroyed bit by bit. Boom! An explosion stunned Su Zian. But it is. Wu Jinghao might be exhausted, or he might be careless, or the opponent's attack angle might be too tricky and hit the core. It turns out. Got blown away. Su Zian was stunned. His original intention was actually to let Wu Jinghao suffer a big lesson and let him understand. An advanced biological reconnaissance ship has nothing to be awesome about, let alone anything to be proud of. And they look down on this and that. The original intention was to cause the damage to the Wu Jing to reach 80 or 90%, then make another move. Let the other party learn a lesson, and then he can take a breath. But I really didn't think about letting the other party's starship be blown up and all their lives lost. Although Su Zian is a decisive person. But he is not a vicious devil. Can you deliberately kill someone just for this little thing? No matter what, we are all on the same side. So, Su Zian did not expect that the Wu Jing, with a damage rate of about 65%, was suddenly blown up. Can only say, Wu Jing's fate should be like this, because even if he rushed over with all his strength just now, there was actually not enough time at all. Wu Jinghao is still going to be blown up. Damn it. Wu Jinghao. Wu Jing. Are you still alive? Lu Yun's angry and anxious voice sounded in the communicator. Zian no longer took his time, increased his horsepower to the maximum and rushed over. Judging from the fact that the starship was sunk and the captain's survival rate was less than 10%, Wu Jing is most likely. I'm still alive, cough cough cough. Wu Jing's weak voice reached everyone's ears, and Zian's expression was stunned. Lu Yun was immediately overjoyed, he's still alive. Quiconho, go pick him up. Zian had no objection to Lu Yun's order. The Zuizan turned around and flew towards the area where the Wu Jing exploded. Lu Yun struggled to hold on under the attack of the frigate. Thanks to this frigate, it probably just evolved not long ago. The frigate captain was not yet fully familiar with the newly evolved starship. Otherwise, the Wu Jing and Chang Yun had long been destroyed. Among the debris in the sky, I saw a figure wearing heavy space armor, with gas spraying from behind, stumbling towards the direction of the Brilliance. The Brilliance flew close, the cargo hold door opened, and Wu Jing ducked and entered the cargo hold. It was impossible for him to enter the cockpit. The cockpit was already small. Moreover, Zian did not want his operations, the specific configuration of the starship, etc., to be seen by Wu Jing. After picking up Wu Jing, who survived the disaster, Zian launched an attack on the frigate without hesitation. Without Wu Jing in front, the pressure is much greater. But it's still within the acceptable range. Chang Yun, try to delay his movements, I will attack. Zian said in a deep voice. Lu Yun, who knew Zian's terrifying strength, responded immediately without any hesitation, okay. I will try to delay it as much as possible. But my current situation can't delay it for too long. 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes. Zian has no unnecessary nonsense. As long as the Chang Yun can hold off the opponent, 5 minutes is enough. Zian has been observing the situation of the frigate since he came here. This frigate is just the most common evolution. Estimate. Most likely inferior overall quality, at most average overall quality. Among them, the cockpit is definitely of inferior quality. Although the inferior quality of the frigate is not inferior to the excellent quality of the reconnaissance ship, it is a class leap after all. But the excellent quality of the reconnaissance ship is still easy to blow up in Zian's eyes. In short, it is definitely much easier than the overall excellent quality frigate of the Zerg in the Star Wars simulation. I'll give you 10 minutes. Lu Yun gritted her teeth, beat him hard. Beat him until the Osprey arrives. Lu Yun obviously misunderstood Zian's words. Misunderstood that Zian needs 10 minutes to injure the opponent, so to delay the time. And her move. It was almost equivalent to using his own life to fight for Zian's chance to injure the opponent for 10 minutes. Zian did not explain. No need to explain either. He said 5 minutes, that's 5 minutes. 1 more second is sorry for the 4 years in the Star Wars simulation, adding up to no less than 3,500 times of abuse. 3,500 deaths are just Zian's own preliminary estimate. Maybe more, but never less. At this moment, Zian devoted himself to this battle with all his heart and soul. All attention was focused on the opposite frigate. While the Chang Yun was desperately unable to keep up with the loss, it was looking for the best opportunity to make a move. This moment, he seems to have returned to the exciting and tense simulated war. On the opposite side was the Zerg with its teeth and claws open, and it was possible to kill him at any time. Suddenly, Zian's eyes froze suddenly, and with a thought, a main cannon shell was fired without hesitation. The secondary artillery shells were not fired at all. Fight this kind of frigate that spans an entire class. Secondary gun doesn't work anymore. Only the red 88 cm caliber pulse-penetrating ammunition of excellent quality can really cause effective damage to the opponent. The power of the pulse engine was activated to the maximum by Zian. A pulse-piercing bomb flew towards the shield in front of the opponent's cockpit at a speed comparable to the speed of light. Boom. The light blue shield in front of the opponent's cockpit suddenly rippled and rippled, and the penetrating bullet penetrated a few centimeters, but that was all, and there was no movement after the explosion. Zian is not discouraged, because all this is in his calculation. Even if the energy shield of a frigate is the worst, is it a reconnaissance ship, or can the main gun of a low-level reconnaissance ship easily penetrate it? No kidding, the power is not on the same level. As soon as the round passed, the main gun shells began to reload. The opponent's energy shield also began to recover. About 10 seconds later, Zian suddenly shouted, "Run down to the right." Lu Yun didn't ask any questions, and ran down while controlling the starship. The opposing frigate followed immediately, but there was only such a momentary pause, and Zian fired another cannonball past. Impartial, with a distance of more than 3,000 meters, the first shot hit the original position. Boom. This time. Still not pierced. But this time, the cannonball went deep into a full slap. Even if the energy shield is recovered, it cannot be completely recovered within 10 seconds. Even if it seems to be restored on the surface, the energy power of that place will definitely be lower than other places, and it will be easier to penetrate. Zian. Today we will use the Tier 2 reconnaissance ship. Blast him a frigate. Procrastination? Non-existent. This frigate has at least 250 evolution points, It's done. To your 7 o'clock direction, fly up. Lu Yun executed without hesitation. Another shot from Zian. Go to your 10 o'clock direction and fly straight. Whoosh. Boom. Zian continued to direct. Lu Yun also carried out firmly. And that frigate also got angry. Lu Yun couldn't catch up, and was so nimble as to follow a fucking monkey. Whenever he made an attack, the battleship could always dodge at a weird angle. In the distance, there was an even weirder starship that fired at him from time to time. Although mighty, he didn't care at all, because it's been more than a dozen shots, and he hasn't even blasted his shield. What's the point? But soon he realized something was wrong. What's wrong is that whenever the starship of the Federation dodges, the starship on the opposite side will always fire at the right time. So, in fact, the reason why this federal starship suddenly became so dodgeable is because the starship on the opposite side is in command? Right. It must be so. Thinking of this, the frigate captain suddenly became angry. When did he, a frigate, be toyed with by 2 scout ships like this? Don't bother with that monkey-like Federation starship, and aim directly at the brilliant. Apart from anything else, just a few shells were fired. Careful. Seeing that the frigate suddenly ignored her, Lu Yun was shocked. After a quick reminder, she fired at the frigate at close range without hesitation. Inside the cab of the Brilliance, Zian smiled coldly. You just reacted and hit me now? Late. These dozens of guns go down. Enough already. Exactly. It came straight at me again. The opponent aimed the cockpit directly at him. This is courting death. Since the other party has come to the door, how can Zian refuse to accept it? Whoosh. Whoosh whoosh. This time, it is no longer a single-shot main gun pulse armor-piercing shell. There are also a large number of secondary artillery high-explosive shells. Secondary battery, heat. Not as powerful as the main gun. But the rate of fire far exceeds that of the main gun. And it's 4 doors. What's more, when it evolved at that time, it was specially evolved towards its rate of fire. Just for a moment, a full 20 or so secondary guns followed behind the main gun, almost forming a straight line, and fired quickly. Puff. Accompanied by a cracking sound like an eggshell. The point that had withstood more than a dozen pulse armor-piercing bullets, this time, was actually broken through by the armor-piercing bullets without any hindrance. The power is not diminished. Finally, hit the bullseye. Half of the penetrating warhead broke into the opponent's cockpit glass and exploded. Needless to say, a frigate is a frigate. No matter how rubbish the frigate is, it is still a frigate. Let's say that the glass defense of the cockpit has resisted the penetrating bullets. To this also ensues Zian's calculation. Penetrating bomb. It is not necessary to completely penetrate the opponent's armor. Just a gap. That's enough. The penetrating round left a gap. Then it exploded. Then 20 rounds of secondary guns. At least 15 rounds rushed into the cab through the gap. Boom. A violent explosion and orange fire instantly filled the small cab. In this instant, the frigate jerked suddenly, then the violent momentum that rushed towards the brilliance suddenly disappeared. But it turned off instantly. The frigate, relying only on the inertia of the space environment, continued to rush towards the brilliance. But seeing his sudden increase of 252 points of evolution, Zian breathed out a sigh of relief. A smile gradually appeared at the corner of his mouth, and finally he smiled so much that the corners of his mouth almost reached the base of his ears. Laughing wildly there. Killed. Sure enough, it was killed. I didn't treat myself unfairly by the torture experience of dying more than 3,500 times in 4 years. In fact, it all seems simple. In fact, everything happens in a very short time. Moreover, the difficulty is overwhelming. Who can attack the same point continuously while the opponent is moving at a distance of more than 3,000 meters without using a locking radar, relying purely on naked eyes and combat awareness? The last 20 rounds of artillery shells rushed into the cockpit through an extremely narrow gap? Difficulty. It's so high that it's scary. It's so high that it's scary. This is Zian's biggest life-saving trump card. It is also his only trump card that can be used for leapfrog kills. But seriously speaking, it is indeed much easier than in Star Wars simulation. In fact, this can be seen from the evolution value gained from killing the opponent. Killing low-level frigates will give you 250 to 350 evolution points. No doubt. The worse the quality, the less evolution value you get. 252 points. I can be 10,000% sure that this frigate is a gray and low-quality one. But it's normal to think about it, really awesome. Who the hell wants to be an interstellar pirate? Therefore, the quality of the starships of interstellar pirates and their combat effectiveness are generally very rubbish. But the inferior quality is really a bit too stretchy. Tutsao belongs to Tutsao. But the base value of 250 evolution points still made Zian laugh like a fool. Let's put it that way. If it is said that the 140 points of evolution obtained before cannot allow all of the brilliant to evolve to red excellent quality, then add the 252 points now. Almost enough. If you add the 60 points that can be converted into living things after you cultivate yourself. 140 plus 252 plus 60, a total of 452 evolution points, no matter what. I just think that in the near future, I will own a brilliant ship with all parts and components, even a screw on the starship is red and of excellent quality. Zian smiled even more like a fool. But even the noisy communicator did not hear what was being said inside. After a long time, there was another explosion in the distance, and Zian recovered from his dream. He made a sound of suck and looked quickly. I don't know when. The Osprey, which was also beaten to pieces, had already appeared here. Federal Army here. A one-sided massacre was launched against the gang of interstellar pirates. The rest are all mechanical starships. Zian did not go over to join in the fun. Because now it's over, it's considered a monster grab. For some parts. There is no need for that. He killed a total of 4 starships today alone. Those parts made him a lot of money. It is also the basis for a major update on the brilliance, in the meteorite belt. A cool biological reconnaissance ship, purely planned, is constantly shuttling through the wreckage. From the upright posture of this starship, one can feel its excitement. Around The dilapidated starships floated there quietly, silently witnessing the starship's wanton search. Changyun, help me install this pulse jump engine, it's still good. In the communicator, Zian's excited voice sounded. Lu Yun quickly replied, oh, yes, I will come right away. Lu Yun immediately drove the Changyun to the Brilliant, opened the hatch and barely put the pulse jump engine in. Look at the cargo hold of the Changyun. It has been filled with various parts. Only a small part of it was looted by herself, and most of it was looted by the Brilliant. The same is true for the cargo compartments of other starships. It's not that they don't search. But when they fight, 9 times out of 10, they will blow up their opponents. Where can someone like Zian only hit the opponent's cockpit? The rest of the parts are basically good. They plundered for a long time, but none of them had plundered as much as Zian alone. Seeing them was extremely greedy. But it's just greedy. No one said anything. Including the Osprey. They all waited quietly and obediently. Have no idea. They are awesome. Hold. Until now. Including Zhang Qingji. Still can't believe the facts in front of them. They think the most useless and least favored Brilliant account. Who knows is a real boss. Kill a low-level, a mid-level, and a high-level biological reconnaissance ship alone. Then he almost killed a low-level biological frigate alone. This kind of achievement. Even Zhang Qingji of the Osprey was trembling. How dare you say more? At the same time, I felt very regretful. I regret that I treated Zian that way. I don't know if this big boss was offended. This big guy. As long as nothing unexpected happens. In the near future. His name will surely spread throughout the Earth Federation. This moment. They all also knew Zian's age and the rank of his Brilliant account. Therefore. Only then did they become more frightened. Super genius. The ultimate monster. As long as he doesn't die young, he will definitely be a super strong man who can suppress a galaxy in the future. It's too late to please the relationship. What if I wait a moment and help the boss decorate parts to sell? Zian continued to search happily. Captain, your starship is big, I can trouble you. Zian hasn't finished speaking yet. Zhang Qingji immediately responded, no problem. As long as you can pretend. After saying that, he immediately piloted the Osprey and flew towards Zian. Behind. There are also starships on standby, just so I can install more parts for Zian. At this moment, Zian was trapped in a sea of money. Although the quality of the starships of these interstellar pirates is very rubbish. But there are so many parts that can be recycled. A single one is cheap, but when the quantity goes up, it becomes a pretty big sum. Preliminary estimates. These parts cost at least no less than 3 million yuan. 2 million of them were provided by the frigate. It seems that 2 million is indeed pitiful for a frigate. But there is no way. First of all, the quality of all parts of that frigate is grey and inferior. Secondly, it is second-hand. Selling 2 million is pretty good. The remaining parts of the 3 biological reconnaissance ships can be sold for about 1 million in total. The quality of the starships of this group of pirates is worse than the starships of the group of pirates he met when he rescued Qin Fuyue. Good thing. 3 million is enough to keep Zian busy. What can you do to earn 3 million foot? A full 5 hours later. Finally, all the valuable parts that could be installed were finally disassembled by Zian. Zian suddenly made up his mind, this time. It is necessary to evolve the mechanical arm of the Brilliance. This search efficiency is too slow. When the Brilliance evolves from a reconnaissance ship to a frigate, it can evolve in size, appearance, etc. Install another high-power robotic arm. That way the efficiency will be faster. Now, the shape and volume have been fixed, and no matter how much it evolves, it is impossible to add another robotic arm. Small evolution, or deep optimization, can only improve quality. Great evolution, that is, evolution from a hierarchical level. Only then can everything truly evolve and change everything. Everything was done, and the Black Crow interstellar pirate group was completely wiped out. Based on the coordinates provided by the Osprey, everyone flew towards the Pratt star system. How many stars are there in the Milky Way? This era has given a definite answer. The number of stars reached 500 billion. Yes. You read that right, it's 100 billion. 500 billion. In the 21st century, astronomers predicted that the number of stars in the Milky Way was 200 to 400 billion. In fact, there are even more stars in the Milky Way, reaching 500 billion. Among them, there are more than 80 billion star systems. Among them, there are more than 30 billion star systems that can be habitable after various in-depth modifications. A galaxy. More than 30 billion star systems have been modified to be habitable. Therefore, it is very normal that Zian has never heard of the Rashi Plate star system. Too many, and the Milky Way is only a small part of the Earth Federation today. The universe is too big. It's too vast. The Pratt star system is not far away from here. About 7 light-years away. The reason why they didn't go to the space relay station was because the Federation Army had to rest and repair the starship. Maintenance at the Federation Army station is free, but maintenance at the space relay station has to be paid for by yourself. Zian also went with him, because there are still many of his parts on the Osprey team starship. The remaining 4 ships of external personnel also followed, because their starships are also equipped with Zian parts. As for Wu Jing, not to mention him, he is still staying in the cargo hold of the Brilliance at the moment. Naturally, Zian can go wherever he wants. Immediately. Osprey squad and outsiders. Vast and vast. Flying towards the Pratt star system. In the Pratt star system, there is only one blue giant star shining brightly. The star system formed by the blue giant star itself is not suitable for human survival under normal circumstances. Because the blue giant star has super high heat, it is hundreds of times hotter than the sun of the solar system, that is, the yellow dwarf star. And the life is short, and the interior is also very unstable. But today is the cosmic and interstellar era of ultra-high-tech civilization. The cosmic human group can become one of the 3 peak overlord groups in the universe, and the problem of a small blue giant star can't be solved? A super-strength Dyson sphere envelopes the gigantic blue giant star. Most of its ultra-high blue light temperature is absorbed by the Dyson sphere. The remaining heat and light radiate to the entire star system. And because of the control of the Dyson sphere, the temperature of the light and heat irradiated on each planet is different. That is to say, under the control of the Dyson sphere, the solid planets in the entire Pratt star system have become habitable planets. There are even floating cities built in the atmosphere of several gaseous planets, and the energy absorbed by the Dyson sphere easily maintains the normal floating and operation of the floating city. These floating cities are like heavens in ancient mythology. However, in this interstellar era, the floating city, it has already become an ordinary event that is common to all human beings in the universe. The so-called Dyson sphere is actually just a name for the humans of the Earth Federation. Simply because it was a theory put forward by Freeman Dyson, an American physicist of the 20th century, in 1960. But in fact, in the universe, the Dyson sphere has been popularized countless years ago. Among the cosmic humans, the actual name of the Dyson sphere is Star Energy Control System. It is a super-large building that can enclose a star in it. Its main function is to use the entire star as a kind of energy source for human beings. To put it more simply, solar energy knows it, right? Solar energy is an iconic product that utilizes stellar energy. Of course, the stellar energy control system is definitely not solar energy, but a product of deep intake of star energy. And it will not cause any lifespan reduction to the original star. Not only that, but also monitor the situation of the star at all times. Once any stellar wind, stellar flare, etc. occurs, it can be controlled immediately. The original extremely short lifespan and extremely unstable characteristics of the blue giant star will become stable under the control of the stellar energy control system. No evolution, no explosion. It will not become a neutron star or even a black hole during the evolution process. Yes, most of black holes are supermassive celestial bodies formed by supermassive stars after burning and evolution. Its mass and gravity are so strong that even light cannot escape, so it looks like a round black hole. On a certain planet in Platt's star system, Zian sold the spare parts he brought to the Federal Army's buyer. The Federal Army will also specifically recycle these parts. Some federal fleets that have killed pirates outside have to sell the spare parts they bring back. Zian was naturally also sold to the Federation Army. The price is slightly lower than the outside, almost negligible, but absolutely fair and just. After some appraisal, these parts were sold for a total of 3.2 million yuan. Not only did the wealth value soar to 356 points in an instant, the main reason was that the balance in the bank card became longer. This is the most important. 356 wealth points. Big money like never before. Zian is considered rich and powerful now. With a wave of his hand, 3 points of wealth were directly used, and 3 points of bioenergy were added. From 150 bioenergy points to 153, a one-time increase of 3 points of bioenergy is relatively safe at this stage. Can be increased by 1 per day. That is to say, it only takes 20 days to reach the critical point of a third-rank fighter at 210 points. Zian, we still need to rest for a few days, mainly because the starship needs to be repaired. At this time, Lu Yun came over, touched her short hair, and said in a hearty voice, "We will set off again in 3 days." After a pause, she suddenly said, You won't leave, will you?" As he spoke, he fixed his eyes on Zian. Next to him, Zhang Qingji, who was doing a battle report, also pricked up his ears. Zian smiled and said, "Not for now. But in about 20 days, I have to leave. Because in about a month or so, the school will hold a special admissions exam, and I want to take part. So, I can still go with the Osprey team for about a time or two." Hearing what Zian said, the corners of Zhang Qingji's mouth twitched in joy. Lu Yun even laughed loudly and said, "That's a good relationship. The Osprey team has an extra monster like you, our combat effectiveness will be improved, and our safety will be greatly guaranteed." The voice was so loud that it attracted the passing federal soldiers to look at him frequently, curious about the identity of this young man. Then on the side of a few people, the fat captain and the other 3 external captains all left. Because they don't have the nerve to stay any longer. With the way they treated Zian before, they didn't think they were ashamed to stay. What's more, with Zian here, they feel that those biological starships don't have their share. To do this kind of mission, who didn't come here for the evolution value of the biological starship? At this time, a tall and thin figure followed a federal soldier passing by here. He was still expressionless. But if you look closely, you will find that after he came to this area, his eyes looked to the other side. Avoid Zian's sight, so as not to meet Zian's eyes. Not afraid, but afraid of embarrassment. Zian smiled lightly and didn't care. Wu Jing. His starship was sunk, but he survived. Then joined the Union Army. The Federal Army will assign him a new starship for binding based on his performance. Maybe this is Wu Jing's best choice in the future. After all, he is here. As long as he performed well in the Federal Army, he would soon be able to become the captain of a high-level biological reconnaissance ship again. And the reason why I joined the Federal Army, very simple. Only by joining the Federal Army can he obtain as many evolution points as possible. After all, he is already a 7th-rank fighter, and the evolutionary value of the biological energy transformation from the previous cultivation is all gone. You can't practice anymore. Only by joining the Federation Army can you earn evolutionary points for evolution. Continue to act alone. Too dangerous. Joining the large group of the Federal Army is his best choice. Thanks. What Zian didn't expect was that when Wu Jing passed by him, a mosquito-like sound floated over, and he couldn't even hear it clearly unless he listened carefully. Slightly startled, he looked up. Wu Jing still turned his head to look at the other side, but his face was already red. Zian grinned. You're welcome, the endless and lonely deep space. Accompanied by the explosion of the last firework. This mission is finally over. In the communicator, Lu Yun's voice full of reluctance came, Zian. Are you leaving tomorrow? The originally bustling communicator suddenly fell silent. Zian said, and said, yes, in half a month, the special recruitment examination will begin. In addition, I made an appointment with someone to evolve the starship for them, and the time has come. There was some silence on the communicator. Today, 23 days have passed since the last mission. In these 23 days, the Osprey team only carried out one mission. There is no way the interstellar pirate gang they are killing now is really good at hiding. I searched for almost 20 days and found it with the continuous support of federal intelligence. The key is that this is just a very, very small pirate group. It was on the same level as the pirate group that attacked Qin Fuyue that day. Even before Zian took action, those few starships were all taken away by the Federal Army and external captains who were furious because of their constant search. When Zian arrived at this location, all he saw was the starship exploding. That is to say, during these 23 days, Zian didn't get any extra evolution points, or any extra parts. Only a fixed salary of 1,200 yuan per day. Yes. 1,200 yuan per day. Mainly led by Zhang Qingji and Lu Yun, and strongly guaranteed and recommended by the other members of the Osprey team, after the Federal Army watched the first combat video of the brilliant. Zian's remuneration was immediately increased to 1,200 yuan per day. This is already the highest treatment a scout captain can receive. Although the brilliants can fight frigates, after all, the basic level is there, and it is impossible to pass the Federal Intelligence System review. 23 days, 27,600 yuan. Not too bad. The main reason is that the entry of no evolution value is somewhat flawed. But it's not bad. Because now, Zian has a full 452 evolution points. With so many evolution values, it is enough to evolve all the parts of the starship to red excellent quality, and there will still be a lot left. The remaining evolution values are still reserved for the most urgent use. That Wu Jing's Wu Jinghao suffered a loss because it had no evolution value. If he had enough evolution points at that time and used the evolution points to quickly repair the starship, where would he be destroyed? Including the biological starships of the interstellar pirates that Zian killed, they were killed so easily by Zian because they had no evolution value. Evolution value, it's really too scarce. Shockingly scarce. The starship is casually of slightly better quality, such as the overall white color and average quality. It will drain all your evolution points. This is why there are so many interstellar pirates. A large part of the reason why most interstellar pirates become interstellar pirates is so that they can kill at will and obtain enough evolution points. With your strength, you can definitely pass the special recruitment examination with the first place. In the communicator, Zhang Qingji's voice sounded, "You are the most powerful genius I have ever seen in my life." Not to mention the strength of Star Wars, he is actually an evolutionist. Alas, if my kid can have 1% of your talent in the future, I can wake up laughing from my dreams. These days, we are already familiar with each other. There was still reluctance in Zhang Qingji's tone, but he knew that Zian, a monster-level genius, and the Osprey team were just a passerby in his long and even endless life. The universe is vast, and the chance of them meeting again in the future may be infinitely small. The atmosphere was a little dull. Zian laughed loudly, "No need to do this, when I am free, I will go to Pratt to see you. In addition, if there is nothing to do at ordinary times, we can also use the newsletter to chat." Haha, you are right. You have to work hard, and when you become the captain of a battleship, or even a captain of a deep space ship in the future, sister, I will have something to brag about. Lu Yun laughed wildly. Everyone laughed, and the dull atmosphere was swept away. Zian looked at the time and said, in this case. Then we will see you next time. Goodbye everyone. Go, brilliant. Come on, Zian. When you often appear in the news and become a great hero of our human race, don't forget that on a distant planet, there is a captain and comrade in arms of yours who once fought side by side, and is proudly applauding you with a wine glass. This is the last blessing to Zian from Captain Zhang Qingji, Vice Captain Lu Yun, and all Osprey team members. After 1.5 months, Zian returned to the Earth again, and Zian felt as if he had passed away. Forever azure blue, eternal intimacy. This is the mother planet that gave birth to him. Driving the Bright, I returned to the Xingfuli community in Huqing. It was only a short period of 1.5 months, but for some reason, I felt like I had been away from home for many years. The home is bright as new and spotless. The old nanny robot tirelessly cleans the room every day. After eating the familiar dishes cooked by the nanny robot, Zian took a comfortable bath and lay comfortably on the bed. Thinking of nothing, doing nothing. Started to sleep with eyes closed. This moment. He just wanted to let himself go and enjoy this rare tranquility. I fell asleep and slept until after 10 o'clock the next day. Only then did Zian stretch himself contentedly, wash up, turn on the optical brain watch, and start contacting Qin Shanchuan. Zian, don't worry, I've been out following the Federal Army to suppress bandits recently, and I just came back, so I kept you waiting for a long time. Qin Shanchuan replied almost instantly. Qin Shanchuan, haha, little uncle is too polite, wait a while, wait as long as you want. Besides, I've only been here for less than a week. Yes, this Qin Shanchuan arrived a week ago. It's completely rushed. Even more interesting. His so-called customer is also waiting for anyone who is honest and has no complaints. It's outrageous. Zian, where are you now? I'm going to find you. Qin Shanchuan, uncle, do you want us to pick you up? We are now in the Society of Evolutionists chapter of the solar system. Zian, no, I'll be there in about an hour, chapter of the Society of Solar System Evolutionists, on Mars. About 40 minutes later. Passed the surveillance of the air traffic control, and flew straight to the gate of the Evolutionist Association branch. The Evolutionist Association branch is a huge building with an extremely luxurious appearance. There is also a dedicated starport for starship parking, etc. During this period of time, the starships at the entrance of the Evolutionary Association are constantly coming in and out, and there are many, many starships that have evolved and are ready to evolve. Starship evolution. In fact, very few people evolve in the starship factory, and they usually come to the Evolutionist Association to evolve. There are the most authoritative evolutionists here, as well as the most complete tools and parts modules. The Association of Evolutionists is not an organization of the Earth Federation, but an organization of all humans in the universe. It's okay to say that the Evolution Masters Association is a force, or it's not a force. But its influence is undoubtedly the largest in the Universe Federation. At the same time, the members of the Evolutionary Association are also very, very united. Whenever an evolutionist is bullied, that will face the unanimous resistance of all members of the entire Evolutionist Association. May I ask you, a biological captain, how do you deal with the resistance from all members of the Evolutionary Association? 1. Evolve the starship yourself. 2. To find evolutionists who do not belong to the Evolutionists Association. There are some evolutionists who do not belong to the Evolutionists Association. Either the strength is not enough, and there is no strength at all to join the Evolutionist Association. Or a complete liar. So, speaking of the Association of Evolutionists, it is the most terrifying organization for human beings in the universe. In fact, it's not an exaggeration. Because no one would be willing to offend members of the Evolutionists Association. Being offended is almost equivalent to cutting off one's own escape route. Same. The Evolutionist Association is extremely difficult to join. Selection at all levels. Heavy examination. This is only about associate members. It is even more difficult to become a formal member. The difficulty of the assessment is too great. But it is precisely because of such a strict assessment system. This has led to every official member of the Evolutionists Association being an evolutionist with real materials in the true sense. As long as you are an evolutionist who is a member of the Evolutionary Association, even if you have no previous evolution experience, as long as you offer a slightly lower price, there will still be people who come to you to help evolve a starship. This is the difference between a wild evolutionist and an Evolutionist Association evolutionist. The Evolutionist Association is the holy land of every evolutionist's dream. It is conceivable that Zian became an associate member of the association so easily, and also obtained the assessment qualification so easily. How incredible is this luck? How awesome is his master Xiaodong Liu? As soon as he arrived at the gate of the Evolutionary Association, the optical brain connected to a communication. Drop? Welcome, dear associate member Mr. Zian, home. A docking pad has been arranged for you. Please dock your starship according to the guidelines. Immediately afterwards, a navigation guide appeared in the light brain. Zian was driving the Brilliant, and it stopped quickly. After all, associate members enjoy certain privileges. People outside just park in and have to pay. Because Mars has undergone a thorough deepening transformation, the environment has become the most livable environment for humans, and there is no need to wear a helmet at all. That thing is not very comfortable to wear. Leave the starport and come to the gate entrance on the first floor. I was just about to use the optical brain to contact Qin Shanchuan. Suddenly, several people walked towards Zian at the same time. The first person to go was a handsome young man with a bright and humble smile on his face. The few people following him looked at Zian with curiosity and envy, as if they wanted to see what was different about him. Little uncle. The voice arrived before the young man arrived. Zian looked up, slightly confused. Are you, Qin Shanchuan? Qin Shanchuan smiled and nodded, with a humble attitude. Yes, little uncle, I am Qin Shanchuan. How did you know it was mine? Zian asked, curiously. Qin Shanchuan chuckled. I am also a member of the Evolutionist Association, so I have seen your personal images, little uncle. Ah, little uncle, let me introduce it to you. As he spoke, he introduced an elegant middle-aged man beside him and said, This is Xiong'an, a senior fellow in our department. Ah, at the same time, he is also the branch president of the Solar System Evolutionists Association branch. The middle-aged man with a refined temperament suddenly smiled at Zian, and then he shouted seriously, Little uncle. Zian's expression was a little dull. Hello. Qin Shanchuan continued to introduce Zian. 3 other people. 2 of them are vice presidents. The last young man is the so-called client. Look at his respectful look, client. The customer is a hammer user. Let's go, we won't stand here to attract attention. Xiong'an invited with a smile, Uncle Junior, please. Qin Shanchuan also turned sideways and motioned, Little uncle, let's talk in Brother Xiong's office. Zian nodded, surrounded by several people, walked towards Xiong'an's office. Here they are. It is indeed a bit conspicuous. Xiong'an and the other presidents and vice presidents may be just ordinary people in the eyes of Master and the others. But in the solar system, he is definitely one of the best big shots. A big man who is as famous as the governor of the solar system and the head of the Solar System Federation Corps. Such a big shot would stand out wherever he goes. Came to Xiong'an's top-floor office. Inviting Zian to sit down and serve tea and snacks is a thoughtful and respectful person. In fact, Zian knows a thing or two about the Circle of Evolutionists. In the Circle of Evolutionists, it is the place that pays the most attention to seniority and etiquette. I am Xia Dongliu's disciple, even if it is registered, my seniority is higher than them. Although, a little uncomfortable, but quickly adjusted. We chatted a few polite words, perhaps seeing that Zian is not very used to this kind of politeness. Soon we get to the point. Little uncle, let's see how to evolve the parts module for my customer? Qin Shanchuan said with a smile, my client mainly wants to evolve the main gun and engine. Zian nodded slightly and asked, no problem. What aspects of evolution are focused on? What quality do you want to evolve to? Blue is rare? Or red excellence? Let me tell you first, my current level can only evolve scout ships to the red excellent quality at most. No matter how high I am, I can't do it. Zian told the truth. Puff. Who knew? As soon as these words came out, the whole place sprayed water. Everyone's eyes were dull. I wondered if I was hearing hallucinations. What did they hear? Blue is rare? Red excellence? This is the quality of speaking? Everyone looked at each other. For those who don't know, I thought this little uncle was some kind of high-grade evolutionist. If he hadn't known that this little martial uncle was a registered disciple of Xiao Lao's Ho. They must think that Zian is bragging. Just kidding, not even a rank 1 evolutionist. Open mouth is red excellent quality. Outrageous. But precisely because he is Xiao Lao's disciple. Therefore, even if they feel that they can't believe it anymore, they think rationally. It's not impossible. After all, to be favored by Mr. Xia, who has not accepted a disciple for 3,000 years, how bad is his talent? Only. It's a bit outrageous. No. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. There must be some elements of bragging. But in order not to refute Zian's face, several people looked at each other. Qin Shanchuan immediately said with a smile, little uncle, of course the higher the quality, the better, just look at it. After a pause, he added, of course, the remuneration will definitely not be less than yours, little uncle. Whatever the quality, it will be based on the market price. What do you think? Zian nodded, I have no problem, so tell me about the emphasis? Several people looked at the so-called client. The young man quickly said, if you focus on it. I hope to increase the killing range and power of the main gun. As for the engine, the speed is enough. I hope to increase some sensitivity and rapid acceleration. That's all. Zian nodded slightly, this is not difficult, I can give a plan in half a day at most. By the way, is your evolution worth enough? The young man nodded immediately, it's definitely enough, it has a full 48 points of evolution. Zian was speechless. Full? Well, it's actually not too much. And with 48 points of evolution, it is indeed enough to evolve only 2 parts to red excellent quality. As for lower quality? Zian didn't think about it. If you want to make it whole, you need to make it high quality. That would be a great boost to your reputation. What's more, the higher the quality, the more rewards. Now he is already at the full value of 210 biological energy. The next step is to evolve the brilliant to the 3rd level. And it's the kind that even a single screw has to be red and of excellent quality. Therefore, a lot of money is needed. What's more, money can increase the value of wealth, Zian certainly will not dislike earning more. Immediately said, well, it's not too late, shall we go and see your starship now? No problem. The man answered incomparably neatly. Let's go, little uncle, I'll take you there. Xiongnan was extremely enthusiastic. Zian was helpless, but the other party's hospitality was hard to refuse, and he did not refuse. The 2 vice presidents, as well as Qin Shanchuan Zidong, followed closely behind. They are also extremely curious about Zian's true level. I just want to see what kind of person who is so talented can be favored by Mr. Xia. Soon, a group of people came to an evolution factory again. A 79.9-meter-long starship with an extremely exquisite appearance and a sense of science fiction is parked here. Zian was speechless. Damn rich people. Yoshwang Te is a future star. It's outrageous. This future star is currently at level 3. The young man introduced, however, there was a mistake in the previous evolution, and the quality of the main gun and engine dropped to excellent quality. So this time I wanted to evolve it to see if I could restore the quality to its original rare quality. Zian said nothing. Future star. The highest quality is red excellence. Yes. The highest quality of future stars is red excellence. But the price is really too outrageous. Blue rare quality future stars, almost 20 million. But the future star of red excellence, 888.88 million. Can you believe it? Nearly 900 million. The most important thing is the overall quality. The quality of some unimportant parts and modules does not reach the red excellence at all. This shows how huge the profits are. At least so far, Zian has never seen a future star who bought excellent quality. Too expensive. Zian looked at it for a few times and said, "Okay, give me some time and I'll take a look. Also send me the detailed parameters of your future star." The evolutionist evolves. Need to know the most detailed data of the starship. How detailed? It is so detailed that you need to know the model and quality of even a screw. Only in this way can a suitable evolution plan be given. Reduce the chance of error. The young man was well prepared and immediately sent the data to Zian's personal optical computer. Each captain's starship data is a secret among secrets. Zian also thought of this and looked at him in front of the other party. Quickly, he nodded and said, "I understand the situation, let me study it first." Zian walked inside the starship and began to study it carefully. The rest of the people stood far away and did not disturb Zian. Sometimes, an evolutionist would come up with an evolution plan for a starship and study it for days or even months. As the class of starships becomes higher and higher, and the quality required becomes higher and higher, it is not impossible that a set of plans will take several years to study. But now it is just an evolution of a low-level reconnaissance ship, and only 2 parts have evolved. Of course it won't take too much time. And Zian is indeed studying it seriously. He didn't enter the evolution simulation. Since this time, after having sufficient wealth value, Zian went to the evolution simulation and won twice more. This time, it was mainly to simulate the brilliant red number in its most perfect state, with excellent quality. Once, he started trying to simulate evolution of other starships. The future star is also within his simulation range. That is to say, with Zian's current level, he has been simulating the level in the system space for 3 full years. One of the years was mostly based on future stars. Just the evolution of the main gun and engine, if we still need to rely on the system. Then Zian thought that he could apply to unbind the system from him. While researching, I wrote and drew on my optical brain. While knocking here and there in the starship, look there. About an hour and a half later. Okay, the plan is out, here's what you need to prepare. Zian sent a material purchase list to the young man. At the same time, Xiong'an, the branch president of the association, started filming in person. This is not only an evolution, but also an assessment of Zian. Only through this test, Zian has finally obtained the qualification to be a registered evolutionist. Therefore, shooting the whole process is a must. It will be uploaded to the system and then based on Zian's final evolution. Judgment result. The young man's scalp went numb as he looked at the items that needed to be purchased on the optical brain watch. It's all metal and various materials. But the key? They're all very expensive. Tungsten superalloy. An expensive alloy with a gram-by-gram value and extremely high strength. Fortunately, the demand is not high. Cybertron, an ultra-strong and electrically conductive metal used in high-tech equipment and mechanical components. Besides, in short, the total of the bits and pieces is at least no less than 1.7 million. This is just the evolution of 2 parts. He is not demanding, as long as it is slightly optimized, it is best to achieve a rare quality. But what more can be said? He dared not have any opinion. Just buy it. Now he hopes a little. This one don't split his main gun and engine evolution. Otherwise, there is no place to cry. Soon, Zian bought everything he needed. Then Zian began to guide the youth starship to start evolving. The evolutionary value, along with the integration of more and more metals and materials, began to drop crazily, and the young man who dropped was terrified. Everyone else watched curiously. Needless to say, at this moment, at least from the surface, Zian looks like a master. Calm and capable, the evolution is progressing step by step in an orderly manner. Finally, after an hour, Zian clapped his hands together. Okay, it's done. You can see if the symbol meets your requirements. Everyone's eyes lit up, and they walked over quickly, wanting to see the effect of evolution with their own eyes. Only the young man's face turned green, and he forced a smile there. Ask him why. Because he has a total of 48 evolution points. A whole 48 points. He earned 48 evolutionary points by desperately killing a mid-level biological scout ship, and now he has 2 fucking points left. Heartbroken and bleeding. Xiao Wang, what are you still doing in a daze? Turn on the optical brain to see the evolution of your starship. Qin Shanchuan reminded. The young man sighed. The flowers are all gone, what else can I say? He is satisfied if he only hopes that he will not evolve into a split. In addition, he also established a good relationship with Qin Shanchuan. This is the most important. Thinking of this, he immediately cleared up his emotions, nodded quickly and said, okay, here we come. Immediately ran quickly, and with a thought, activated the shipboard optical brain. Turn on self-detection. The young man gave the order. Soon, on the shipboard optical computer, the detailed data of his starship were presented one by one. It's time to say it or not. He is indeed a future star. All blue fonts represent the rare quality of all blue. Moreover, the quality belongs to the quality, and the materials used in the things themselves are also extremely awesome. Parts of the same quality are not all equally strong. It's like an unknown engine produced by a small company, you evolved to red excellence. The other is an engine produced by the top group in the universe, and you have also evolved to red excellence. However, the latter is definitely better than the former. There is no doubt about this. Future stars are actually very expensive here. Why do some companies only need 7 to 8 million for blue rare quality starships, but a full 20 million for future stars? And it makes countless people flock to it? Do you really think that your family is stupid and has too much money? Not really. With the same quality, the future star is reflected in the materials used. The materials used are really solid, and there is no falsification at all. The components are also really high performance and durable. It is definitely one of the top existences in the reconnaissance ship class. Anyway, looking down, I was very envious when I saw Zian. He decides. Since I made a lot of money this time, then this time the brilliant number evolved at the same time. Use the best of its basic things, and the starship evolved in this way will have the strongest combat effectiveness. I thought so in my heart. Suddenly, bursts of exclamations sounded in the future star. Hiss. I go. Fuck. What? There was an unbelievable exclamation with extreme horror, and then looked at Zian in unison. Each expression, as if seeing a god. Understood. Understood. Got it. I finally know why Xiao Laohui has not accepted disciples for 3,000 years, but will accept Zian that day. It is said that Mr. Xia and Zian had only known each other for a few hours. So he decided to take Zian as his disciple. As expected, this talent. It's too scary. Not even a rank 1 evolutionist. Only 17 years old and less than 18 years old. It is said that they are all self-taught. It turns out. Evolved 2 parts of red superior quality? Among the rare blue and excellent green quality, the 2 excellent red fonts are so eye-catching and conspicuous. Look at the more detailed parameters of the cannon and engine, really. They all focus on evolution according to the needs of young people. The killing range and power of the cannon have increased considerably. Probably the increase is between 15% and 20%. This improvement is definitely not small. The engine, agility, and rapid acceleration have also been increased by varying values, as well as its core durability, and so on. The so-called durability means that it is not so easy to break. Even if it is hit, as long as it is not directly damaged, there is a probability that it can continue to be used for a period of time. In short, it is to make it less delicate. Are you satisfied? Zian asked with a smile. At this time, the young man was already smiling so much that his eyes were narrowed into slits, and the corner of his mouth was grinning like a shark. Hearing this, he nodded frantically, satisfied. So satisfied. As expected of Mr. Xia's disciple, that's awesome. Master Su, can I ask you, when my starship evolves to the 4th level next time, can you please help me evolve it? The young man was full of anticipation, and hurriedly added, don't worry, the reward will definitely not be less. I'll transfer the remuneration to you first, a total of 600,000 yuan, do you think it's okay? Zian smiled, no problem, as long as I have time. The reward this time is 1.6 million, I am very satisfied. 1.6 million. Really a lot. Even said a lot. After all, this is just the evolution of 2 components. How can you make so much money in just a few hours? No wonder it is said that evolutionists are hidden super rich. Now Zian feels deeply about these words. Soon, 1.6 million was transferred directly to Zian's account. With this 1.6 million, Zian's account has reached nearly 5 million. This is a huge sum of money that he has never had. It is also the basis for a major update on the brilliance. President Xiong, how much does it cost to rent the evolution factory here for one day? I want to evolve my starship once. Zian asked. What money are you talking about here? Here, it's your home, little uncle, use it as you like. Xiong smiled slightly, waved his hand and said, if you want to use any evolution factory, just use it. After seeing Zian's enchanting talent in evolution, Xiongyan's attitude changed again. It became a little more intimate. The little martial uncle called him Shun Lu. The other party said so, and Zian was not hypocritical. Okay, the evolution factory will be the same as this one. Zian said, it will take about 7 days. This is a comprehensive update. Although it is not the 3rd to 4th order. Not to mention the evolution from a scout ship to a frigate. However, from the inside out, Zian intends to improve all the quality, and it will take about 7 days. Evolution. In fact, it is not that simple, there are too many aspects to deal with. There must be no mistakes at all, and I would rather go slower than steady. Let's not talk about 7 days, 700 days or 7 years is fine. Xiong asked with a smile, is there anything else I can do for you, little uncle? Such as buying parts, metals, materials, etc.? We also have an interest-free loan of tens of millions for our own internal members. If you're on a tight budget, apply. Zian sighed. This evolutionist association. Benefits are really good. Of course, it was also because he had the backing of Mr. Xia. If you are a regular associate member, welfare is good, but don't expect it to be so good. Money is enough. Nearly 5 million, it is enough to evolve all parts to red excellence. After all, it's just a small evolution from the 2nd to the 3rd level. There is even a lot left, which Zian plans to use to buy a better set of space armor. What I'm wearing now is somewhat embarrassing. Not to mention how good it is, at least not so shabby. So he said, thank you President Xiong for your kindness, but I have enough funds in my hand now. Xiong nodded, okay. Then I will deal with your evolution video now. Not surprisingly, you will soon pass your qualification review. Then you can take the real registered evolutionist assessment at any time. Zian was surprised. So fast? Doesn't it mean that you need a guarantee? Several people laughed. Qin Shanchuan answered, that's for others, of course you are different from others, little uncle. We have a special case, and we will give you a registered evolutionist assessment. Anyway, the whole process is under the monitoring of our association's intelligence system, which guarantees absolute fairness and justice, and no one will say anything. As for the guarantee, Qin Shanchuan laughed and said, don't worry about this, little uncle, we are all your guarantors for the assessment. Having said that, what else can Zian say? Zian fully recognized their love. Next, it was Zian's personal time. He drove the Brilliant and parked in one of the evolution factories. The facilities here are complete. Zian began to buy on the optical computer provided by the factory. There are many things that need to be purchased first and then evolved, such as hull armor, core armor, star crystal optical brain, energy shield. These, buying high-end products directly, and then improving the quality by yourself, this is the best choice. The rest, such as cab, living room, balancer, power generator, internal wiring, etc. These do not need to be purchased, and can be directly evolved on the original basis. After all, these things are not particularly important parts, and whether their basic power can keep up with it does not actually affect the overall performance of the Brilliant. Anyway, as long as the quality can keep up and be durable enough, it will be fine. Speaking of which, the star crystal optical brain of the Brilliant is still gray and inferior. The star crystal optical brain is extremely useful for starships. It is the best auxiliary and the best starship processing core. A good star crystal light brain can be used when you are fighting the enemy with all your heart and can't care about other things. Star crystal light brain will be very intelligent and silently help you make up for your defense deficiencies, supplement your attacks, etc. To put it more simply, with a good star crystal optical brain, Zian's overall combat effectiveness will be raised to a higher level again. However, a good star crystal optical brain is too expensive. Fortunately, I have money now. By the way, Zian also plans to buy something better for the living room. He found that a good living environment could help him rest better. When you are well rested, your combat effectiveness and condition will be higher. This is what Zian realized during his time in the Osprey team. Without further ado, let's start shopping. First of all, hull armor, core armor, energy shield, they must all be from the Holy Armor Group. Nowadays, in the Space Federation area, there are only a few groups that are the most powerful in manufacturing armor and energy shields. One is a group at the level of the 7 overlords of the universe, and it is also a group that produces future stars. Universe Technology Group. One is one of the 12 superpowers in the universe. Mechanical Empire. Then there's the Sacred Armor. The products of Holy Armor are of the same quality level as the products of the previous two companies. But it's more favorable. There are also many people who buy the first two, but they are basically buying a brand and a belief. They are actually on the same level. Zian doesn't have any beliefs, so the products of the Holy Armor Group are naturally more affordable. Energy Shield, Cosmic Shield Series Entry-Level Super Ion Energy Shield, Hull Armor, Space Shield Series Entry-Level Star Steel Alloy Armor, Core Armor, Cosmic Shield Series Entry-Level Energy Lattice Alloy Core Armor, All-Color Holy Armor Space Shield Series. The Space Shield Series is the name of the top product of Sacred Armor. Of course, it's just the entry-level model. And the selling price add up to 2.7 million. Then there is the Star Crystal Optical Brain. The manufacturer of Xingjing Optical Brain is also the top series of the Infinite Brain Company, the top company in this industry. Xianyan Series Entry-Level Star Crystal Optical Brain. Don't ask why they are all entry-level models. Because it is not entry-level, it cannot be integrated at the reconnaissance ship level. Only higher-level starships can fuse and evolve. So, armor, shields, optical brain. It is already the top product Zian can buy that can integrate and evolve with the brilliant number. The price is also extremely expensive, a full 1 million. There are still 1.3 million left. Fortunately, there is no need to buy the remaining items. It only needs to evolve to red excellence based on the original foundation. 1 million is enough. There is still 200,000 cash left. Keep buying. Money. Spend it like running water. Zian was heartbroken and happy. It's no wonder it's the Evolutionary Association. It took less than an hour to finish shopping. They all were sent over. A major update for the second to third version of Manhwa. A super optimization that consumes a full 5 million and the evolution value is expected to consume 400 points. Officially begin. Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.